Hello viewers, this is Dr. P. Marian Puma. I welcome you to this channel. Today we'll be studying about Introduction to Immune System. Contents that will be dealt under this topic are the basic introduction to what is immune system, then its characteristics, origin of lymphocytes, lymphoid organs, antibodies, and little bit about immune response. Coming to introduction of immune system, we know that immune system is a defense system. And this defense system, it reacts very specifically with the antigens. Our immune system has the ability to react specifically with the n number of antigens that are present around us. And this interaction will result in antigenic stimulus and thus result in the production of some cells or antibodies. These in turn exhibit reactivity specifically. And the cells which are associated with the immune system, they are referred to as lymphocytes, and the organs which are associated with the immune system, we call them as lymphoid organs. So when an antigen enters into our body, the immune system is the one which fights with it. During this process, the immune system, it may develop antibodies or it may develop sensitized cells. These in turn react specifically with the antigen and finally they nullify the antigen. Important characteristics of the immune system. Our immune system, it consists of three important characteristic features. These include immune specificity, immunological reactivity, and then immunological memory. We shall see each of these things in detail. Immune specificity. So here the term itself is indicating that the response of the immune system is very much specific. So the lymphocytes which are produced or which are there associated with the immune system, they react very specifically. And upon entry of an antigen, specific lymphocytes, they get activated. For example, B cells, if they are activated, they would result in the production of antibodies. And if it is sensitized cells, if it is a T cell, sensitized cells are produced against the antigens. So here we can see, for example, antigen 1 is entering into the system. This would result in the production of antibody 1 or sensitized cells against the antigen 1. Now antigen 2, if it is entering, that would result in the production of antibodies type 2 or sensitized cells of type 2 which would react specifically with antigen 2. Then if antigen 3 is entering into the system, this would result in the formation of antibody type 3 or sensitized cells of type 3 which would in turn exhibit specific reactivity to antigen 3. So this is what is immune specificity. The second characteristic feature is immunological reactivity. So here the sensitized cells or the lymphocytes or the antibodies which we have seen in the previous case, which are produced when an antigen has entered into the body and that has resulted in antigenic stimulus, they go and react specifically with that. That's what we have seen there. And this would result in the formation of antigen antibody complexes. So antigen 1 will combine with antibody 1 to form that antigen antibody complex. Antigen 2 will go and specifically bind with antibody 2 only, and that would result in the antigen antibody complex 2. Then antigen 3 would react only with antibody 3, and that would result in antigen antibody complex. This is what is immunological reactivity. The third feature is immunological memory. So here it is like our memory only, where every encounter with the antigen is memorized by the immune system. So how does this happen? Whenever an antigen enters into the body, that would, say for example, is interacting with a B cell. Okay, this will result in the division and differentiation of the B cells to result in memory cells and plasma cells. And here you can see that this first encounter, of course, it has resulted in plasma cells that would produce antibodies, but it also has resulted in memory cells. These memory cells will be present in our circulation. Now when the antigen enters for the second time, then these cells would get stimulated, and in turn you can see that the immunological memory is produced. Memory B cells are produced. When compared to the first encounter, the second encounter, it has resulted in further increase in the B memory cells. Parallelly, here we have antibodies produced, but the amount of antibodies produced here, it would be more as compared to this one. Same is the case with the T memory cells also. So if the antigen has encountered with some antigen presenting cells, then the T cells would interact with that antigen, and then these T cells, they would result in the formation of T memory cells. So always we can see that a second encounter with the antigen, okay, this contributes to a rapid increase in the immunological response, a high increase in the immunological response, thereby resulting in good amount of immunological memory. This is what is used in vaccination. Since we are in COVID time, we can see that they are giving us 2 doses. In the first dose, good memory is produced, but when second dose is given, lots of memory is produced against COVID-19. Thereby, the person will be able to react to it and nullify that antigen, that is nullify that virus, because of this memory only. Now let us learn a little bit about these lymphocytes. Lymphocytes, these are obtained again from the stem cells of bone marrow, and we have various lineages that are involved that lead to the differentiation of the stem cells. These stem cells, they divide, they differentiate, and during this process of differentiation, the cells, they attain specialized characteristics. Once they have attained those specialized characteristics, then they start migrating to lymphoid organs. Sometimes we see that immature cells, they are developed from the stem cells in the bone marrow. Then they migrate to few organs which we call them as primary lymphoid organs, and there they start maturing. And we also see that some cells, their synthesis and maturation, it takes place at a different site, and the site of action is different. Okay, some cells, say for example we have T cells. T cells, they come from bone marrow stem cells only, but the immature thymocytes or the precursors of the T cells, they move from bone marrow to thymus, and in the thymus, maturation of those T cells will be taking place. And finally we have the competent T cells. Competent T cells means those T cells which can react with the antigen. Once they are developed, then these migrate to the secondary lymphoid organs. We call them as the secondary lymphoid organs, where actually the reaction will be taking place. So for few of the cells, this would be little different. While when you talk about these B cells, these are also produced from the stem cells of the bone marrow. They also come through this myeloid lineage. But here what happens is that they mature in the bone marrow itself. And once mature B cells are produced, then these migrate to the secondary lymphoid organs like the spleen, the lymph nodes, the malt. To those places they migrate, they settle, and then they try to bind with the antigen. They fight for us. That is, there they go there, settle there, and then they start interacting with the antigen in the secondary lymphoid organs. This diagram, it is showing this lineage. So here you have this stem cells. These stem cells, these are the hematopoietic stem cells, which can give rise to all the cells that we see in the circulation along with our immune cells. They can take up any of these 2 pathways. These we call them as the lineages. Here it is the myeloid lineage, while here it is the lymphoid lineage. In the lymphoid lineage, we have the common lymphoid progenitor cell. This common lymphoid progenitor cell can differentiate into a natural killer cell or into small lymphocytes. So here this natural killer cell, it's a large granular lymphocyte. Now here we have the small lymphocytes. These lymphocytes, okay, either they can become T cells or B cells, and these B cells, they divide and differentiate to form memory cells and plasma cells. So these plasma cells are the ones which will be producing antibodies. Well, here we have this myeloid lineage in which we see that you can get platelets. Say we have uh, this megakaryocyte that can result in the formation of these thrombocytes, or you can get erythrocytes, that is our RBC. Okay, then we can get these mast cells. Then we have this myeloblast cell. This myeloblast cell, it can give rise to our granular leukocytes, that is the eosinophils, basophils, and the neutrophils. And it can also give rise to monocytes, and some monocytes, they set up in tissues as macrophages. So all these are a result of division and differentiation of the stem cells which are present in the bone marrow. Based upon the lineage that it takes up, it would result in any of the blood cells along with our immune cells. Now coming to classes of immune cells, we have three major cells which we should know. First is the T cells, then we have the B cells and the antigen presenting cells. T cells. T cells, they derive their name from the site of maturation, which is the thymus. These T cells, they have some receptors on their surface which we call them as the T cell receptors. These T cell receptors, they accept the antigen when it is presented through the major histocompatibility complex. And the T cells, they are of various types. We have the Th cells called as the T helper cells, then Tc cells or T cytotoxic cells, and Ts cells or T suppressor cells. So here we have the T helper cells. The major receptors only we are talking, the cell surface molecules of these T cells. So T helper cell, it has TCR and a CD4 receptor on its surface, while this is the T cytotoxic cell which has TCR and CD8 on its surface. TCR and CD8, while T helper cell has TCR, that is T cell receptor, and CD4 receptor on its surface. So you can see that this T helper cell, what it does is, it accepts the antigens when it is presented by cells having MHC class 2. So we have antigen presenting cells which have MHC class 2. What those antigen presenting cells do is, they process the antigen and then they present the antigenic determinant here to the TCR. Then once the interactions are completed via CD4, this would get stimulated. Okay, this interacts with MHC class 2. It accepts antigens by MHC class 2. But here we have T cytotoxic cells. These cells have CD8. And how these function is, these accept antigens when they are presented by MHC class 1 molecules. So where are MHC class 1 molecules present? These are present on all the nucleated cells. So nucleated cells means all are normal somatic cells. Our cells have this MHC molecules on their surface. They exhibit around 10 to the power of 5 MHC molecules on their surface. So these cells, what they do is, regularly whatever protein that is being synthesized inside, a part of it is brought out and presented here for checking. Okay, this is like a quality control. They'll be checking, and if at all mutation has taken place and some different protein is produced, and when it is brought out via MHC class 1 and presented here, these would again become sensitized. They would react. Okay, the TC cells would react, and finally they are involved in killing that transformed cell. This is how they go. We shall see these in detail when we see immune cells. Then coming to B cells. B cells, Their production and maturation takes place in bone marrow, while in birds it is bursa fabriceus. These are the cells which are involved in the production of antibodies. So here, whenever these interact with antigen, so these B cells, they divide, they differentiate, and they finally transform to form plasma cells and memory cells. The plasma cells are the one which produce secretory antibodies. A normal B cell has surface antibodies like this IgD and IgM on its surface, while upon antigenic stimulus, antigenic challenge, they become plasma cells. So plasma cells, they have lots of rough endoplasmic reticulum in them, and these start producing antibodies. Lots of antibodies will be produced, and this would result in the formation of B memory cells also. Now, what are these antigen presenting cells, abbreviated as APCs? These are the ones which phagocytize the antigen or take up the antigen, they process it, and they bring out only that antigenic determinant, okay, that antigenic determinant which can stimulate the T cells onto their surface. These antigen presenting cells, they have MHC class 2. Okay, they have MHC class 2. So once they have taken up the antigen, they process the antigen and they bring out that antigenic determinant onto their surface and they present it to T helper cells. These T helper cells, they interacted with this particular thing via the T cell receptor, and you have CD4 also. So once this interaction is completed, then the T helper cells would get stimulated, and these would call the B cells to produce antibodies. Okay, these would call the B cells to produce antibodies. So these are our antigen presenting cells. We have B cells, macrophages, dendritic cells, which are a part of this antigen presenting cells. Then talking about lymphoid organs. The organs which are associated with the immune system, they are called as lymphoid organs. Okay, these lymphoid organs, they are again divided into primary and secondary lymphoid organs. Primary lymphoid organs means we have bone marrow and thymus. Okay, these two are the primary lymphoid organs. Bone marrow, it consists of stem cells. The bone marrow, it consists of stem cells, and these stem cells, as we have seen, these are the ones which would lead to the formation of all the other cells along with our immune cells, that is the T cells and the B cells. And then coming to the thymus, thymus is located over here. You can see here. This thymus, it's the site for maturation of T cells. T cells are trained over here, and once training is done over here, then these cells will migrate and settle in the secondary lymphoid organs. Okay, there they'll be acting. Now coming to the secondary lymphoid organs. These include all the lymph nodes that we have, and then the spleen and the mucosal associated lymphoid tissue, which is the MALT, the tonsils, the appendix, all these things. So these are the sites where these lymphocytes, they settle up there, and then they'll be acting upon them. So this is our lymph node. It looks like this, which has lots of follicles inside, and those follicles, they have the T cells and the B cells. There the antigen is nullified. One important difference here is that the primary lymphoid organs, okay, there they are involved in production and maturation, while the secondary lymphoid organs are the places where they settle and act. Okay, and these primary lymphoid organs, they atrophy with age. With age, they'll be atrophying. And one more important thing is when it comes to bone marrow, it is involved in hemopoiesis, but with age that bone marrow volume will decrease. The hemopoietic region in the bone marrow will decrease also, and fat will start accumulating there. So with time, what happens is the activity decreases with respect to these primary lymphoid organs. So what are primary lymphoid organs? These are the organs which are associated with the immune system, and these are divided into two, that is the primary and the secondary lymphoid organs. Primary lymphoid organs include bone marrow and thymus, while secondary lymphoid organ include lymph nodes, spleen, MALT, GALT, appendix, everything gets added over there. Then we should also get familiarized with this term antibodies. Antibodies, these are Y-shaped molecules, okay, or T-shaped molecules, and these are produced by our B cells. So we know that these antibodies are the ones which go and bind to the antigen specifically. Okay, the B cells, the plasma cells, mainly they produce the secretory antibodies. Again, we have different types of antibodies based upon the heavy chain. The antibodies are further classified into all these categories. So we have IgG, IgA, IgM, IgE, and IgD. Okay, our body, it has the genes and it has the capacity, to react with all the different types of antigens, lakhs of antigens that are there. So we have these genes as gene segments, and random combination of these gene segments would result in the production of around 10 to the power of 8 different types of antibodies. And these 10 to the power of 8 different types of antibodies can bind to so many different types of antigens. That is the beauty of our immune system. These are the various antibodies. This is IgA. Ig is a dimer connected by a J chain. It is found in the mucus associated with the malt, in the saliva, in the tears, in breast milk. This is the antibody which is present in the breast milk, and it protects the infant against pathogens. Next is IgD. IgD is a monomer. It is mostly found on the B cell surface. Okay, and this activates the basophils and some mast cells. Next one is IgE. IgE is the antibody which is involved in allergies. Okay, this antibody, it protects against all these parasitic worms, and it's also responsible for all the allergic reactions. Then we have IgG, which is the typical antibody which we find in the circulation. So the B cells, upon activation, they form plasma cells, and these plasma cells basically produce this IgG. This is the antibody which you find in the circulation to the maximum extent, while IgE is found only during allergies. And one important characteristic about IgG is it's the only antibody which can cross the placenta, thereby offering protection to the fetus which is present in the mother's womb. So this has a placental transmission site. That's why it's offering protection against antigens in the baby. As long as the baby is there in the mother's womb, it is protected because the IgG can cross the placenta and then nullify the antigens if at all they have entered. Then this is IgM. IgM is a pentameric antibody. This is a macroglobulin. We call it as macroglobulin. All antibodies we call them as immunoglobulins. Ig means immunoglobulin, abbreviated like this, capital I, small g. So this is a macroglobulin, and this is found in the circulation. Monomer is found attached to the B cell surface, but when upon antigenic stimulus, it is secreted as pentamer, and this is involved in all the agglutination reactions or our blood group antibodies. They are IgM type. And then the next important one is immune response. That is the response which is generated by our body, the immune system of our body, against an antigen. That you call it as immune response. And here we have what is known as the primary immune response and the secondary immune response. So primary immune response means, say for example, an antigen has entered into the body for the first time, and the response that the immune system generates, that you call it as the primary immune response. And secondary immune response is if the antigen is entering the body for the second time, okay, for the second time, then you call it as the secondary immune response. And one thing is, when it's primary immune response, here the amount of immunological memory generated is less, as we have discussed previously. But when you have the secondary immune response, good response is generated. It is just like taking a vaccination. First dose of vaccination, That is the primary immune response, where the system will take some time, will be getting all the symptoms, it will take some time, and then antibodies will be produced. But when you're taking a first booster dose, that is the second dose of vaccine, when you're taking it, then the amount of immune response generated, it will be much more, and it will be much faster. Okay, generally primary immune response is slower, but secondary immune response is quite fast, and that would result in lots of immunological memory. Then this immune response, it's again of two types. We have what is known as the T dependent and T independent. T dependent means the term itself is indicating that it is involving T cells, while T independent means it doesn't require the involvement of T cells. So in the first category, where T dependent immune response is there, T cells are involved. So as we have seen previously, the antigen presenting cells, they take up the antigen, process it, present it to T helper cells, and these T helper cells, they in turn stimulate the B cells, and those B cells would produce antibodies. This is how the immune response goes. In case of T independent cells, these don't need any involvement of T cells. So directly the B cells, they get stimulated, and upon stimulus they directly start producing antibodies. So immune response generation does not require the participation of any T cells. So the antigens are also named so. This is the T independent antigen. This is the T dependent antigen, where it requires the participation of the T cells. So such antigens are huge. Usually they are taken up by antigen presenting cells, processed, presented to T cells. Then T cells would in turn stimulate the B cells and would result in the immune response, resulting in the formation of antibodies. But in case of T independent antigens, no B cell is required, no T cell is required. These directly stimulate the B cells, immune response is generated, and finally you have lots of antibody production. So we have studied about the basic concepts of immunology or the immune system. We have seen about the cells involved, the lymphoid organs, antibodies, about the immune response also. We have seen the characteristics of the immune system, the three important characteristics of the immune system. Please don't forget, it is immunospecificity, immunological reactivity, and immunological memory. Thank you. Do watch the video again. If you have any confusion, you can just email me at drmirianupama@gmail.com or place a comment below the video. Thank you.